It's November 6, 2025, in Louisville, Kentucky. Inside the Metro Emergency Services headquarters, the dispatchers are sitting in front of rows of silent monitors. The atmosphere is tense, but not because of a high-volume crisis. It's because the phones have stopped ringing. When a resident dials 911, they aren't met with a voice asking for their location. They are met with a fast, busy signal. This is the universal telecommunications sound for a system that has reached total capacity. The city's most critical lifeline, a network funded by millions to ensure near infinite reliability, is suddenly a dead zone. In the middle of the silence, the official advice to citizens is almost surreal. Check social media. While lives are on the line, the public is instructed to look for an 11-digit administrative number posted on a city Facebook page. The authorities call it technical problems. But this isn't an isolated glitch in a single city. From San Francisco's utility grids to statewide IT outages in South Dakota, the digital bedrock of modern life is beginning to flicker. We're told these systems are protected by sophisticated firewalls and military-grade redundancy. But when investigators in South Dakota looked for the cause of a 2-day total blackout, they didn't find a hacker. They found mislabeled wires in a sterile server room, physical Ethernet cables with the wrong names on them. It turns out a billion-dollar safety net can be dismantled by a 3-cent clerical error. A handwritten tag on a single cable is the only thing standing between a state government and total digital oblivion. This is the story of the 911 dead zone. To understand how a city loses its dial tone, you have to look at the digital bedrock we're told is unbreakable. In South Dakota, the state IT division manages a network that connects every government agency across 66 counties. It's a world of sterile server rooms and humming hardware, governed by the promise of constant 24/7 uptime. This is the systemic utility architecture, a multi-billion-dollar safety net designed to survive anything. In San Francisco, the Board of Supervisors oversees a similar grid, one they've spent decades hardening against failure. But by early 2026, the rhetoric began to change. Supervisors started to blast PG&E after repeated outages left the city's power grid flickering. The official response to these failures is almost always the same: technical problems. It's a sanitized, institutional phrase that suggests a high-level complexity. It implies that the failure was inevitable, a ghost in the machine that no human could have prevented. In Louisville, the same architecture is supposed to be the fail-safe for human life. The 911 system is built with layers of redundancy, meant to ensure that the system never runs out of capacity. When these technical problems occur, the immediate suspicion usually falls on a cyber attack. It's a more comforting thought that a sophisticated foreign actor is to blame, rather than a fundamental flaw in physical hardware. But as these outages began to ripple through regional metro payment kiosks and banking apps, the major outage label started to look like a mask. Every digital network eventually terminates in a physical room full of cables. And in those rooms, the unbreakable system is only as good as the handwritten tags used to organize them. For 48 hours, the state of South Dakota effectively disappears from the digital world. Government agencies are paralyzed, and the major outage is initially investigated as a high-level security breach. Officials look for the fingerprints of a cyber attack, a sophisticated actor targeting the state's heart. But the state's IT division doesn't find a virus. They find a physical server room filled with thousands of identical gray cables. This is the moment where the billion-dollar promise of redundancy meets the reality of mislabeled wires. A technician shines a flashlight into the back of a server rack and finds the technical problems. It's a single, handwritten paper tag, peeling away from the plastic. The label on the wire didn't match the port it was plugged into. During a routine maintenance check, a technician followed the label instead of the schematic. They unplugged the wrong cable, and the entire state network went dark. It's a moment of bathos. The terrifying cyber attacker was actually just a piece of tape with the wrong name on it. In Louisville, the technical problems follow the same mundane script. The system is designed to be infinite, but it terminates in a physical room where a human has to decide which wire goes where. When that decision is based on a 3-cent clerical error, the phones simply stop ringing. The most critical infrastructure in the country wasn't hacked, it was mislabeled. In Louisville, the technical problems are eventually resolved, but the institutional confidence is gone. The city's backup plan for a 911 failure, checking a Facebook page, becomes a point of national ridicule. No calls were getting through. The restoration logs show the service is back, but the silence in the dispatch center left a residue. In San Francisco, the supervisors are done with excuses. They blast PG&E and call for a formal inquiry into public utility system after the December outages. They are looking for systemic utility outages that go deeper than a single storm or a bad transformer. The major outage becomes a recurring line in city council meetings across the country. In February 2026, a cyber attack hits municipal payment processors, freezing tax payments and utility bills. Then, the failure goes global. In April, Russian metro payment kiosks and banking apps collapse across multiple regions. Commuters are left staring at system error screens, unable to get to work because their digital wallets have been decoupled from the physical turnstiles. The officials call it a cyber attack or a technical error, but the testimony from Louisville dispatchers suggests something more mundane. The safety net is being pulled apart by its own maintenance schedules. The fallout isn't a digital war. It's a massive, uncoordinated, two-day IT outage caused by the people meant to prevent them. The restoration of the 911 lines is marked as restored in the logs, but the silence still carries weight. In government server rooms from Pierre to Moscow, the systemic utility outages are treated as anomalies. But for the person holding a phone that won't ring, the anomaly is the only thing that matters. Restoration of the 911 lines is marked as restored in the official logs. But the fix isn't a breakthrough in software engineering. In South Dakota, IT officials began a massive audit of their physical hardware. They are relabeling thousands of identical gray cables in server rooms across the state. It is a manual, low-tech correction to a billion-dollar oversight. In San Francisco, the inquiry into PG&E moves forward, looking for the next systemic utility failure. The supervisors want to know how many more grids are hanging by a piece of peeling paper. The Russian metro kiosks are slowly coming back online, the system error screens replaced by standard prompts. But in Louisville, the residue of the silence remains. Dispatchers are back at their monitors, but the memory of the fast busy signal hasn't faded. A technician in a sterile server room reaches into a tangled rack. They press a single, clean tag onto an Ethernet cable. It is the only thing standing between the government and digital oblivion. For now, the phones are ringing again,